So this new video here from our buddy James Locke, and go check out his YouTube channel, by the way. And this shows Tesla on the full self-driving beta release avoiding road debris. So what I didn't realize is that up until now with the full self-driving beta release is that the car is taking a picture about 30 times a second, and it's just making a new picture, a new image of the world every 30th of a second. Right. And so if it sees a ball, it goes, there's a ball.
But then
there's a ball.
Yeah.
But if you think about it being a human, you see a ball and then you're like, I know that's a ball. It's going to keep moving towards the car. I should slow down. But now that's what full self-driving is doing. And so Elon said, good explanation. 4D is essential for dynamically occluded objects, especially in large intersections with dense vehicle and pedestrian traffic. Frame rate and latency from frame to wheel vector change also important.
And so what he means there by dynamically occluded objects is if there's a kid running and your car sees, oh, there's a child. The child is running at a certain speed. And then the child goes behind a bush or a trash can or something and it doesn't see the child anymore. The car, instead of going like, child has now disappeared, your car is going to go, the child went behind the trash can, but is still probably running. Is the child going to run out into the street? Maybe I should slow down, which is what you do when you drive, hopefully. You don't just wait for things to appear in front of your car and then go like, ah! Oh, I think that kid's going to run out in front of me. I'm going to start to slow down.
And so then this tweet from Pranay is very important. Pranay said, what's the current update on Dojo? Elon said, version 1 is about a year away.
Right. Now, this is different than the impression that I had. I thought that Dojo was already up and running, but apparently they're still working on it. Which
they're training it.
Right. So all the people who are driving around now, maybe on full self-driving, maybe the people who aren't driving on full self-driving update yet, could be training Dojo right now, teaching Dojo what the world looks like, how things work.
Yeah. And so then this tweet from Viv, are you still using the same labeling process then, just with 4D input, or have you made any adjustments? Are you able to use Dojo version around 0.5 already? And Elon said, we rewrote all labeling software for 4D, very different from labeling single photos. Dojo won't contribute for about a year. It's mostly a generalized neural network training computer, but benchmark we're tracking is frames per second. Must beat next-gen GPU TPU clusters or it's pointless. Yeah, so I think that Elon is kind of putting expectations a little bit low here. He's saying we need to train Dojo on how to label everything, and it's going to take data and time for it to do that before it actually is version 1, which in software, version 1 means kind of ready for prime time. All right, and so speaking of the latest full self-driving updates, 2020.44 is out, and Tesla white hat hacker Green has found evidence of possible future 5G and Wi-Fi hotspot capabilities in the future Tesla update. 2020.44 also ships with a new firmware file for the CYW89359, which happens to be Cypress Automotive 802.11ac Wi-Fi Bluetooth solution, currently shipping with Broadcom. Some additional breadcrumbs pointing at upcoming 5G modem support, connectivity suite update soon. And Green also said, and then there's additional bandwidth usage monitoring, adding a curious mothership option to ask the cars to collect hotspot info. Hotspot might really appear in foreseeable future.
So for those of you who aren't up on your modem,
your 5G,
your CW
bandwidth talk,
what this essentially means is that Tesla is probably going to be implementing a Wi-Fi hotspot in their Teslas at some point.
And to further explain, that would mean that if you wanted to turn your car into basically a hotspot for all of, say, your family's laptops and phones in the car, you could do that.
Yeah, so basically you'd be using either a 5G or 4G data signal, just like your phone gets, when you're off Wi-Fi, and the car would be getting that signal. Then it would be putting it into just Wi-Fi, general Wi-Fi for the car itself. So you could use your laptop in your car without having to connect to your phone and use your phone's data plan. Now, this gets into a question about who's going to be paying for this data. Right now, you pay for premium connectivity, which basically gives you music and movies, Netflix, as well as, a nicer map, with the satellite view and stuff like that. Could it be that there's going to be a premium connectivity or just continued premium connectivity that adds a Wi-Fi hotspot to your car?
And the other point here is that this is new hardware, so that means that only the new cars would have the 5G and hotspot capability, most likely.
Well, maybe. I mean, we know that it has methods to communicate to both 4G and Wi-Fi. Most cars produced, let's say, in the last 2 years. So it's possible that it has a modem that would allow for a Wi-Fi hotspot. I think some hackers have mentioned that they've been able to actually turn that system on. But if it could get 5G, obviously that would be faster speeds. Very exciting stuff for the future. But let's talk about what normal people got, what non-hackers got in 2020.44.
That's right. You got the latest update. What's it got in there?
So it has the percentage speed setting. So that means if you put it into autopilot, instead of saying go 10 miles an hour over the speed limit, you could set it to a percentage, which means that on the highway, you'd be going faster relative to the top speed.
We already talked about this a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, this was in the full self-driving update.
Oh, but now us mortals got it.
Now us mortals have it, yes. The next is Spotify improvements. So now there's actually a Spotify homepage. So it looks a lot more similar to if you have a computer app or if you access it through the internet. A lot easier to navigate. You have your homepage back, which is nice. They've also added gapless play. So that means that your songs can kind of fade through. Spotify will also sync with your phone. So if you wanted to, you could hand the phone off to your passenger while you're driving and say, here's my Spotify. Why don't you look up that song instead of having to rely on the screen? So it'd be nice, you could hand it to the back seat if you wanted your kids to, play whatever song they wanted to listen to.
Never do that.
But it's nice because then they could pause, skip to the next song, do all sorts of stuff. I think that's pretty neat. Media searches have been rearranged, so it's a little bit easier to get to different types of media that you want to listen to. Before it was like you'd have to type in something and then you'd have to select song up at the top if you wanted to search for songs, which was dumb. They've fixed that now. It's a lot easier to find what you're looking for. And now you can turn off media sources. So like I never used the streaming, media source, but it was still there cluttering up my display. So you can actually turn that off. You can get down to as low as 3 media sources. So I have like phone, radio, and Spotify. Those 3 are on. The rest of them are gone. I don't have to pay attention to them, and I can change it in the settings, which is I love that. I wish I could get down to 2 or 1.
Yeah, because you said you never listened to the radio.
I never listened to the radio. Like it's either my phone or it's Spotify. Like never anything else. But whatever, it's much better than it was. And now there's also different languages for nav, voice recognition, and your touchscreen. So for those of you out there who are trilingual, you could, talk to your car in Polish, have Chinese on the screen, and have it read you directions in French.
That's important.
Now, obviously, you aren't going to use it like that, but say you speak Spanish as your first language and you want to just talk to the car like that, but you have no problem reading English. It gives you a lot more flexibility, which I think is really nice.
Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for watching Now You Know Clips.
You can watch full episodes of Tesla Time News on Mondays and in-depths on Fridays. Just click the link down below to head over to the Now You Know channel.